Ребята, у нас пиздец. Другого мы не...
Блядь, смотрите, обрушается крыша вся.
Ukrainian forces have for the first time captured Russian troops without the use of infantry, relying solely on drones and ground-based robotic systems, Ukraine's third separate assault brigade said. For the first time in history, Russian soldiers surrendered to the 3rd Assault Brigade's ground drones. The statement read, Ukraine has increasingly employed drone and robotic technologies on the battlefield as part of its broader strategy to minimize troop losses and adapt to evolving threats along the front line during Russia's full-scale invasion. The operation took place in Kharkiv Oblast in northeastern Ukraine, where the brigade deployed first-person view drones and kamikaze ground robotic platforms to attack Russian fortifications, the brigade said in a statement. The exact date of the operation was not provided. According to the brigade, Ukrainian forces targeted and destroyed Russian bunkers with kamikaze drones and robotic ground vehicles. As another robot approached a damaged Russian holdout, the remaining Russian soldiers reportedly chose to surrender. The captured troops were then guided out of the combat zone by drones and taken into custody by Ukrainian forces, the brigade said. The brigade added that the Russian positions had previously resisted capture by neighboring Ukrainian units, but the successful assault by unmanned systems allowed Ukrainian forces to take control of both Russian fortifications and a nearby forest line. A massive warehouse fire with explosions is raging in the Russian city of Rostov, covering an area between 2,200 and 9,100 square meters. It is not yet clear what is stored in the warehouses, but it burns nicely. In Rostov-on-Don, a warehouse and an office building caught fire on an area of 2.2 thousand square meters. This was reported on July 8th in the main directorate of the Ministry of Emergency Situations of Russia in the Rostov region. Rostov-on-Don, a warehouse and an office building on an area of 2,200 square meters are on fire, the department's Telegram channel says. Previously, there were no fatalities or injuries as a result of the fire. 53 specialists and 19 pieces of equipment were involved in extinguishing the fire. The day before, a fire broke out in a warehouse in Yekaterinburg. Its area reached 3.5 thousand square meters. It was noted that the difficulties in extinguishing consisted in the complex layout of the building and the high fire load of the premises. Slavery in the Russian army. Reportedly, 2 Russian soldiers accused of desertion, so-called fives, are led on chains into an assault on Ukrainian positions. Russian soldiers at the front lines in Ukraine are unable to obtain vital electrical supplies. A Russian war blogger appeals for help to overcome what he calls greed and bureaucracy, which also illustrates the Russian army's inability to provide basic equipment. Chronicles of the SVO Communications writes, "We, military signalmen, have a simple and very difficult front. Every day we fight not only against electronic warfare and the weather, but also against a banal shortage. Equipment, cable, splitters, power, consumables. A network is not built out of thin air, and communication in a dugout will not appear if you only have duct tape and a prayer. We constantly resort to the help of volunteers who pull this work out literally by the skin of their teeth." The Techno-Still private security company in Voronezh has been purchasing equipment at auctions from major providers for 2 years now. With its own money, they disassemble, repair, assemble, and hand it over to us, to the front. This saves lives, provides control, and allows us not to sit in the dark and without communication. But now this work is under threat. Why? In recent months, these auctions have been visited en masse by non-ferrous metal workers, those who buy equipment not for restoration, but for scrap. They artificially inflate prices, making it impossible to buy equipment en masse. Moreover, in a number of cases, they began to deliberately damage the equipment before transfer. They drill chips. They run power supply through the negative terminal. They burn the boards, so that it can no longer be restored, even if you are ready to pay money for it. And this is during the war. Konstantin Simonov, the head of Techno-Still, has been trying to reach out to the top for several months. to the military-industrial complex, to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, to the organizers of these lots, but so far to no avail. Equipment continues to be destroyed, volunteers lose the meaning of their work, and soldiers, communications. What are we asking for? Simply, humanly, repost. Tell your groups, volunteers, communications specialists, and the media. Let as many people as possible learn how easily bureaucracy and greed can destroy a business that saves those who stand on the front lines. We are not asking for money. We are asking for the return of the opportunity to receive equipment not in the form of burnt boards, but in the form of working devices that can be restored, equipped, and sent to the unit. Good must win over money. In response to the Russian-Belarusian Zapad 2025 exercises, Poland will hold its own strategic maneuvers called Żelazny Obrońca. General Wisław Kukuła, Chief of the General Staff of the Polish Armed Forces, announced this, as reported by Defense 24. The exercises, set to take place in September, will also see participation from several NATO countries. Żelazny Obrońca, Iron Defender, is a series of exercises organized by various branches of the armed forces, including allied forces such as the United States. Their purpose is to test combat systems based on platforms recently acquired by Poland. Our aim is to integrate them into a single, effective combat system, said General Kukuła, who also mentioned another important objective: deterrence. He also noted that the Zapad exercises have never brought anything good to Western countries. The intentions of the Russian Federation remain unchanged, and we stopped being naive many years ago. We are not deceived by Russian propaganda claiming that these exercises are aimed at defending Russia. Neither NATO nor any of its member countries intend to attack anyone. Our primary task as the armed forces is deterrence, and that cannot happen without proper communication, said Kukuła. As previously reported, Russia and Belarus plan to conduct large-scale joint strategic military exercises, Zapad 2025, this September. Their official objectives are to practice joint defensive and offensive operations, improve the coordination of their armed forces, and test the military's readiness for various deployment scenarios. However, these maneuvers always raise concerns among neighboring countries due to the potential for unpredictable actions or incidents. Such worries are not unfounded, as Belarus has served as a staging ground for the Russian invasion forces' offensive in northern Ukraine, including the attack on Kyiv. Russia has launched the construction of the fifth large landing ship of Project 11711 Ivan Gren for the Black Sea Fleet. The Courier analyst announced this on their X account. The new ship has been named Sergei Kabanov and is being built at the Yantar shipyard. According to Russian media, the launch is tentatively scheduled for 2031, with commissioning into active service expected by the end of 2032. At the end of May, Militarny reported that the Russians had launched the large landing ship Vladimir Andreev for the Russian Pacific Fleet. At the end of May, Militarny reported that the Russians had launched the large landing ship Vladimir Andreev for the Russian Pacific Fleet. Project 11711, developed by the Nevsky Design Bureau, features a modernized ship architecture with an extended flight deck for helicopters in the stern. These large landing ships are the largest ships built for the Russian Navy in modern times in terms of displacement. The ships of this type are designed to transport marines and military equipment. They can carry multi-purpose or transport and combat helicopters on their decks. Currently, the Yantar shipyard is also building another large landing ship of this design, the Vasily Trushin. The landing ships of this design have a displacement of 5,000 tons standard and 6,600 tons full, and are capable of transporting up to 300 military personnel along with equipment, up to 13 tanks, or up to 36 IFVs and APCs. Militarny previously reported that the Russian shipyard Admiralteyskiy Verfy, part of the United Shipbuilding Corporation, launched the ice-class patrol ship Nikolai Zubov, Project 23550. The contract for the construction of 2 patrol ships of this project was signed on April 25, 2016. The construction of the lead ship, Ivan Papanin, commenced in September 2016, and the keel-laying ceremony was held on April 19, 2017. The lead ship was launched on October 25, 2019, but it was not until June 28, 2024, that the Ivan Papanin departed St. Petersburg for sea trials at the shipyard. Maybe this launch of a new Russian ship is a good thing, because Ukraine's campaign against Russia's Black Sea Fleet has inflicted some of the most serious naval losses in modern warfare. Among the most significant targets have been Russia's large landing ships, vessels designed to carry troops, vehicles, and equipment for amphibious assaults. Out of 13 such ships stationed across all Russian fleets, at least 7 have been destroyed or rendered completely inoperable since the start of the full-scale invasion. The losses began with the destruction of the Saratov in March 2022 and escalated with precision strikes that wiped out ships like the Minsk, Novocherkassk, Cesar Kunikov, and Olenigorsky Gornyak. In March 2024, Ukrainian attacks heavily damaged both the Yamal and Azov, leaving them inoperable or undergoing extensive repairs. With these strikes, Ukraine has effectively eliminated more than half of Russia's large amphibious force in the Black Sea, significantly reducing its ability to conduct or threaten seaborne landings. Ukraine has also targeted other key vessels of the fleet. The most symbolic victory was the sinking of the Moskva, the flagship cruiser of the Black Sea Fleet, in April 2022. This was followed by a strike on the submarine Rostov-on-Don in 2023, which suffered damage so severe that it is no longer considered repairable. In March 2024, Ukraine also sank the patrol ship Sergei Kotov, part of Russia's efforts to enforce control over maritime approaches. These losses have crippled the Black Sea Fleet's operational freedom. Russia now faces severe limitations in projecting power or moving forces by sea, especially along the southern Ukrainian coast and in Crimea. Ukraine's innovative use of naval drones, long-range missiles, and special operations continues to outmaneuver a technically superior but increasingly exposed Russian fleet. The destruction of these high-value assets not only has strategic consequences, but also delivers a powerful psychological blow to Russia's claim of naval dominance in the Black Sea.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.